There's a big problem with the financial independence, retire early movement, and we need to talk about it. If you followed this channel for long enough, then you know how much I love financial independence, retire early. I think that it's great, and I also think that everyone should be pursuing it in one way or another. Let's be honest, if I could wrap financial independence up like a Chipotle burrito, then you're darn right I'd eat that thing. But I also know that if I'm such a big advocate for something, and I've invested a lot of time and energy into it, then there's a 99% chance that I'm a little biased, possibly too biased. Because I'm a sucker for pain and discomfort, I decided to challenge my own beliefs to take a look at what are the downsides of someone pursuing financial independence or achieving financial independence and early retirement. The goal of this video isn't to trigger anyone, so calm down, but I think it's always healthy to really take a step back and ask yourself, knowing the upsides and downsides, does this really make sense for me? No one wants to end up becoming that guy or girl who's so stuck in their ways of thinking that they automatically dismiss any other opposing views. No names, please. Dave Ramsey. Excuse me, I had a little something in my throat. And let's be honest, those types of people are gonna be the last ones that we invite to our next Star Wars watch party. Wait, you mean Star Wars watch parties aren't as common as I think? Okay, I guess I'm living in a bubble then. Now, you might hear the things that I say and think to yourself, Jared, you're an idiot. I'm not worried about any of those things happening. And that's okay. I've been called much worse by strangers on the internet. But if you aren't one of those people who call me bad words on the internet, then please do me a huge favor and Hulk smash that thumbs up button to help support myself and the worst squirrel hunter in the world, my dog Molly. For those of you who don't know, financial independence is when you have enough money set aside to live off of to where you can choose whether or not you want to continue working. This would usually be called retired for most, but of course the younger generations had to come along, question an old way of thinking, and give it a hip, cool name like financial independence. Now technically, someone like Elon Musk is financially independent because he's got enough money to do whatever he wants, but he still chooses to work on very, childish things like building rocket ships and very futuristic cars. Don't worry though, because average people like us don't have to have Elon Musk money to achieve FI. He's just an overachiever who's decided to change the world in his free time. The things you need to do to become financially independent really aren't difficult. It's a mixture of saving more, increasing your income, and growing it through investing. I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of people who have been working towards this through just about every method that you can think of. Promotions through work, lowering living expenses, real estate investing, stock market investing, starting a side hustle, starting a side business, and anything else that you can think of. The ones who see the most success are usually doing at least two of the things that I mentioned. Now, I have a whole bunch of other financial independence videos to help you out with these sorts of topics that I'll link up in a playlist for you to check out at the very end of this video. There's a ton of sacrifice involved with the pursuit of financial independence. So many things have to be given up in the short term by anyone on their FI journey compared to someone pursuing a normal retirement age. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat the whole thing. It's a pretty darn difficult thing to do day in and day out. If Timmy doesn't plan on retiring until the age of 65 and Jimmy plans on being able to leave work by the age of 45, then Jimmy naturally has to give up quite a few more things than Timmy does. Now, this could be in the form of time and or money. To speed up the process by 20 years, Jimmy is going to have to most likely spend more hours making money so that he can invest and grow it. He's going to have to quote unquote give up money in the form of spending less money on things that the average person does. I know this sounds like a huge sacrifice, and I'd agree that it is at first, but if that goal of having the option to choose whether or not you want to work is that important, then it just becomes your new normal. Giving up that super nice car or more expensive home could free up a few hundred extra dollars every single month for you to throw towards investments. If you and your significant other aren't prepared for this and okay with these sorts of sacrifices, then this whole process is going to be very painful, and I recommend not pursuing financial independence because of it. I was talking to a buddy the other day about money and investing. Now, this is something that we talk about every single time that we're together because we both just enjoy it and we're strange weirdos like that. But if the thought of money in your finances gives you anxiety, then you're going to absolutely hate financial independence because it's something that's always on your mind as you go through the process. I personally believe that thinking about your finances on a regular basis is healthy, but I'll have to admit that financial independence people are probably thinking about it way more than the average person. I can see how this could evolve into pretty unhealthy habits and a little too much questioning of every single dollar leaving the bank account. There's definitely a balance between knowing when it's okay to spend a little bit of money in certain areas and when it's not. You'd be surprised, but I've had to talk quite a few people off the ledge and give them permission to spend some money on fun things that improves their happiness because they're doing the right thing with the majority of their money. Over maximizing and obsessing where the next dollar is going, eking out an extra 1% on your investments, or jumping through insane amounts of hoops to increase your savings rate by, we'll say 1%, can cause you to take it just a little bit too far. I've hit an 83% savings rate and I am content with that. So I've completely stopped trying to cut costs anywhere else in my life to try to increase that. At this point, it just doesn't make sense and will most likely start reducing my happiness if I even try to. For me, the only way to increase my savings rate anymore is by increasing my income. And that is something that I'm always working towards, but I've chosen to pursue more money doing things that I enjoy as opposed to doing things just for the money. The concept of financial independence is such an outside of the box way of thinking that it can be a huge turnoff to people who aren't a part of the community, don't truly understand the reasoning behind it, or are just straight up jealous. This can cause them to stop interacting with you, start judging you more, or even sabotage you in one way or another. I've seen and heard about blowback others have received from sharing that they're pursuing financial independence. To people like us, this makes no sense at all. I'm personally a pretty open-minded person who loves seeing other people win and do better because their success doesn't take away from my success. But not everyone looks at things that same way. If you're doing really well in your life, then they want to tear you down because they're jealous. Even though that person can technically pursue financial independence like you, their perception is that they can't. And one painful lesson that I've had to learn over time is that perception is reality. If you are someone who is or going to be pursuing FI, then I highly recommend not sharing it with too many people outside of your immediate circle who you know won't be judgmental. I hate to say this, but you're better off finding a more private financial independence, retire early community to discuss more sorts of topics like that. I'm just thinking about this now, but if enough people are interested, then maybe I'll create one so more of us like-minded people can nerd out about financial independence and early retirement in a closed private community. How about this? I'll put a link in the description of this video to get your name on a list of people who would like to be a part of this potential private community, and we'll see what happens. I've kind of screwed myself in two ways by having this YouTube channel and being a public figure on the internet. People in my personal and professional life who are aware now know that I'm pursuing financial independence. They also know that I make money on the side from YouTube. I haven't noticed much blowback from mentioning financial independence before, but I have noticed questions arising as to whether or not my YouTube channel is affecting my professional life. And because of that, I now have a personal policy with this. If someone has never heard about my YouTube channel or my pursuit of financial independence, then I keep my mouth shut. I can't do anything about the people who already know about those things, but I can do something about sharing very, very little about my personal life and what I do outside of my main full-time job. To be honest, this is one of the main reasons that I'm public with only a few of my smaller investment accounts on this channel. At this point, the cost outweighs the benefits. As much as I'd love to admit that everyone else has as good of intentions as me when it comes to wanting to see other people win, they don't, and I'm done trying to change people's minds. And this is why we can't have nice things. Based on stats, the average person is going to reach their peak income level in their 50s. Now, this could be a big issue for someone expecting to be financially independent in that age range or earlier. If you choose to take a lower paying job when you reach FI, then you're leaving some serious money on the table. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing because hopefully you are at least choosing to do a job because you enjoy it rather than for the money. But we can't completely ignore the opportunity cost of financial independence from that perspective. As much as I'd love to pretend that there's a clear-cut path to financial independence, there's not. Now, I think that most FI people are what we call quote unquote planners. They've laid out a plan of how much needs to be set aside and for how long to reach that final dollar amount. So you get started down the path and boom, everything gets screwed up. And as we all know, unpredictable stuff happens throughout life that completely changes the direction that we're headed. If you were too married to the idea of financial independence and something happens, then you're going to be extremely disappointed, depressed, and probably resent the thing that prevented you from achieving financial independence. My suggestion is to curb your expectations just a little bit. While I'm someone who is working towards FI, I don't think about it as much as you might think. Now sure, I do the things needed day in and day out to reach it one day, but I don't have a set date on the calendar that I'm working towards. One thing I've found to help me with this is something called premeditatio malorum. That's a mouthful, and I'll explain it. Now, I'd consider myself a student of something called Stoic philosophy for about the past, I'd say 8 years or so, and that's where I got this concept from. I actually have a coin that I carry in my pocket as a constant reminder of premeditatio malorum. What Seneca, one of my favorite Stoic philosophers, said about premeditatio malorum is, what is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster. This is a reason for ensuring that nothing ever takes us by surprise. We should project our thoughts ahead of us at every turn and have in mind every possible eventuality instead of only the usual course of events. Rehearse them in your mind. Exile, torture, war, shipwreck. All the terms of our human lot should be before our eyes. This is the Stoic exercise of imagining the things that could go wrong or be taken away from us to help us prepare for some of the unforeseen future setbacks. Now let's talk about one of the more scary and unknown downsides of financial independence, and that's your health declining sooner than expected. We've all heard about or experienced firsthand someone getting sick or coming down with a disease that absolutely flips their life upside down. Now, it's not fair and it's not fun, but it's a reality of being born in these very flawed, squishy meat suits that we're all walking around with every single day. I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older or what, but more and more I think about how insanely vulnerable I am as a human going through my daily life. I'm just gonna openly admit something that will definitely make me look like an absolute weirdo, but whatever. I think about death and dying probably more than the average person, and moments like driving on the highway still mess with me. Heck, if you look behind me on my bookshelf, I have a skull, I have a picture of a skeleton shooting an arrow at the person looking at the picture, and a monkey thinking while staring at a skull as a constant reminder of my own immortality. Go ahead and roast me in the comments below. I should probably be like a goth chick or something. If you get to a point in your life where you choose to reduce your income because of being financially independent and you get deathly sick, then your finances are going to be in an even worse position than they would have been if you had just stayed at that high-paying job. I wish I had some words of wisdom for you here, but I don't, because it's probably going to be one of the biggest unknowns with pursuing financial independence. The best suggestion that I have is try to continue incorporating healthy habits into your life. Regular physical exercise, consuming healthier foods, and continuing to challenge yourself mentally to keep that big brain of yours in tip-top shape. Outside of that, there's really nothing else that you can control, and it's all going to be left up to fate and luck. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button and check out the description of this video to get on that FIRE community waiting list. And down there, I'll also have links for you to get some free stocks as well. Watch these FIRE videos to your left and next, and I'll see you in the next one, friends. Done.